my lovelies. I am Stephanie. I am a modern day mystic and tarot reader with hidden illuminations. And I have been traveling recently to sit bedside for a bit. And it was in that situation recently that I was able to overhear another little family in the hospital bed over in a shared room where a fellow was at work when his mother took ill and he was unable to leave his work to go and sit with his mother while she sat in hospital and tried to figure out what her ailment was. And I got to thinking that I would very much like it if we had a world where we had travel professionals like travel nurses who could come to the business and handle whatever work needed to be done. If it was someone who was particularly skilled at something and they were perhaps retired and wanted to help out, or if there was someone who got bored easily and they just had lots of skill set that they could be travel professionals and take over a position so that someone like this gentleman could come to the hospital and sit with his mother while they troubleshot why she had had to call for a 911. And I got to thinking after I left the hospital that I would very much like to devise a spread that tells us what the way to get to that world would be. What it would look like if we had, just like you call 911 and you get an ambulance, and everybody in the community on the streets move out of the way for the ambulance to come and help you. And there are people sitting in the ambulance somewhere in the world just waiting to get a call from you so that they could come and help you. What if we had travel professionals that were in our communities that could travel to your work when you were needed elsewhere to be with your family or something came up quickly and we could have someone zip into your place and uh, get the work done while you go and do the heavy work of being with your family, like in hospital or other emergencies. So I was thinking that I would like to reach back to where we are now from a reality that has that as part of their community, just like calling 911 would bring you an ambulance. You would call a certain number that would create a procession of people that would step into place where you are so that you could go be where you needed to be. And that's what this is. This is a reading where the heart of the reading is how do we achieve a society that has someone taking over your work the minute you need them to do so in an emergency, just the same way that you would call for an ambulance. And how, looking back at where we are now, what would the direction be to get to that kind of world? So I have four corners of the document. This is the world that we would live in to be able to get there. I have where we are now and the direction we're moving and drilling down into that possibility of what that would look like and the heart of the reading to make that happen. So let's just explore what it would look like to create that from imagining that as a reality in a world that we live in and looking backward and doing a direct line from where we would be. So, if that makes any sense, I'd like to know the heart of the matter first, the Eight of Swords. And so we need to have the political will to create a world that would pay for and hold space for that to be real. So if we decide as a culture that we have the political willpower to set up a system like our 911 health system that would be to support people at work to be able to have a travel professional step right in, like a travel nurse would step right in, like doctors across borders would step right in and be able to be activated or deployed in a real and active way, that would have to take a group will, all of us deciding that we wanted to put that into place. And we would start with perhaps food service workers. And this situation that I was in the hospital, the fellow talking to his mom on the phone said, you know, Ma, I love you to the moon, but I have a shift at work and it's a real clean place and they make really great burgers. And I'm thinking to myself, somebody else could step in and flip burgers for this guy so that he could come and sit with his mother for a couple hours. I know this in my heart that we could do that. And we could even have it as a position within a certain, whatever, the certain restaurant chain, that they would have someone that would always be on call or how that would be done. But we have to have the will to do it. So the central heart is we have to be willing to envision a world like that and to make it happen. So then let's look at the four corners of how we would make that occur. Meaning, when I was in the law, we always looked at the four corners of the document. This is the world that we live in. So, what would the world have to have in order for this to be a reality? We would have to be willing to work for it. It would be hard work to set that up. So being able to put our work into it. The Page of Pentacles, we'd have to have some idea about how we were going to pay for it and how we were going to work it. Some real organizational skills in place to envision making it happen. We would have to have strict boundaries with the Queen of Swords. We have to have heart in it, but also very, very clear boundaries about what that would look like and how it would be. And the High Priestess. We would need to have essentially a type of magical thinking in that we would have to envision the way it would work in such a out of bounds, out of imagination experience that we would know how it would work and how to put it into place, almost to be able to see the problems before they could arise. The high priestess is the one who knows all the secrets and doesn't always tell them, like really how companies work and how it looks like to have someone step into a role quickly. And each rollout of each particular industry, someone to invent the wheel, but also to see the unseen things of what would need to be done if someone stepped away from their desk for a short or longish period of time in order to keep the work going and to keep that job, keep place in that job. You know, you could imagine something different but similar under the same department, governmental department would cover pregnancies and things like that. But we would have to have the political will, put a lot of work into it, have a real vision, and be extremely almost engineer-like in our mentality and our goals and being able to have boundaries and rules that would meet the goal but not push those edges too roughly. All right, let's drill down into where we are now as far as how we look at the current situation with, say, our laws to keep a job in place for a longer illness, and then where we would move toward in the future. So again, we see the Page of Pentacles. It's the same card twice. So looking at the two pages, we've got a situation where the Page of Pentacles has got to be great workers. These guys have to be creative, super grounded. We need to have people to fulfill these roles that are good at the work. That's everything is going to be based on them doing an amazing job of envisioning how to ground the work, being able to walk in, be super flexible, and just be excited to be there. So the people that would walk in are super important. And also, this is a wish coming true, the star card. We have to have the success on an ongoing basis to achieve our goal. So again, we're really, really leaning heavily on the employees, the emergency workers, the traveling professionals that are walking in order to achieve our goal. Drilling down into it, at the top of the of the plan is that we have to understand that sometimes it's going to go wrong. There will be heartbreaks, there will be difficult situations that um, just some people can't be replaced at the right time. Things happen, you've got timing of the employee leaving the position, how long the employee is gone, and the timing of bringing someone in and time away. So things are going to go wrong, and we have to be prepared for that. But also the Ace of Pentacles, we're creating something new. And as we find errors, as we run across difficulties, as we make mistakes, we learn more and more every time. I'm reminded of the television show Star Trek, where everyone's minds were reset in order to forget something that they simply could not know. And they had to teach the one android that was on the ship not to give away the secret. And people would find clues and find mistakes that their brains hadn't erased entirely. And so they just learned from that and started again. And every time it went wrong, it's like, oh no, this can't be done. We can't erase everything that we've seen that we shouldn't have seen. No, we just learned how to do better next time. And so as the program grows, we would be able to um, create again that Queen of Swords, create a reality that fit the needs better and better as we dial down on it. So all we need to do is pick one industry and one town and figure it out and make mistakes and do better, and then duplicate it and roll it out in a community by community, and then a city by city and a state by state. And we could create something where we would have emergency professionals available at all levels, at all difficulties and abilities, and allow people to walk away from skilled and unskilled. There's no such thing as unskilled labor, but jobs that are multiples of people are doing those jobs. And we could have someone who could slide into that place so that they can go and be with their family members if there's an emergency or they themselves have an emergency, and that things could keep going smoothly. I think it could be done. I really do. Anyway, I was just thinking about a world that I wanted to see that in, and I wanted to know how we would reach there. Really good people to be willing to step in, and at the heart of it, the political will to make it happen and to try and try again and make mistakes and learn from them and work hard. And accept that it's sometimes a magical thing that you've got someone who can step in and take the job with both hands and have a great attitude. That would be lovely to see. Anyway, that's all I have for the day. It was just an idea I wanted to read through. I hope you have an amazing day, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.
I kind of like that. That was kind of cute. Okay, that could be it. I'm done.